Good morning, everyone. Thank you, organizers, for inviting me here. I am very excited to present our ideas, our concepts, and our experience in the cradle of our European civilization. I am especially proud because we are bringing also the honorary patronage of the Polish embassy in Athens. And I am personally happy because as a student, I spent 3 months in Athens as a student internship working for OTA. So there were good times, really. I represent IS Wireless. We are a small 50 people player, a leader in European Open RAN. We bring private 5G, which we think is a game changer for enterprise connectivity. 5G, as it is built today, doesn't have to be very complex. Actually, it can be as simple as Wi-Fi in its deployment. So we can see an installation of radio units, basically, then software porting on existing resources, and that's basically it. So the level, the barrier, the threshold for entering the installation of such a network is much lower. The networks are getting far more simplified than they used to be so far. And as such, there is a huge opportunity for new players to come to build the networks, especially when we take into account this bottom-up movement of localized networks with the localized frequencies. And if we construct the network solutions wisely, we can be future-proof, and we can really very efficiently use the existing resources. So when we're looking inside of such a private 5G network, then absolutely we see the separation between the hardware part and the software part. This is what we call virtualization. It happened some time ago already. We also see disaggregation of the elements that are within the stack of the base station that so far used to be a sort of a blocky single component. So we see RU, radio unit, DU, distributed unit, CU, centralized unit, as well as a controller that happened to be part of 2G and 3G, but then it disappeared in 4G. Sort of a different target and goal has this new controller right now. Now, the separation of software from hardware gives rise to opening the value chain. And this is also the kind of popular granularity of functionality as we see it right now. But is it good enough? Let's think a little bit about how the future networks could look like or would look like. Well, right now we have, let's say, a site, a localization, we have a server room, and possibly some centralized node. And the software functionality of the actual private network is ported over those nodes. But in a very near future, we can expect and should expect, especially in areas like that you have here, ports, lots of locations, lots of infrastructure that is there for a different purpose than just telecommunications, cranes, city furnitures. We should expect proliferation of edge computing, absolutely, that's for sure. So there will be much more of the computing elements all around us. Plus, if we want to provide exponentially rising capacity, we need to densify the network in the radio part. Therefore, we need a different class of radio access network. We need a sort of a liquid network, such that you can pour into the available resources already there. Just to note, please, currently, most of the time, the resources such as computers or the bandwidth are not used at all because we are designing the networks for the worst case. So there is a lot to be done in terms of granularization of the actual network itself and its portability and interoperability, which dramatically opens up the value chain and allows new players inclusively. So those networks can benefit, many new entrants can benefit from such a setup, not just a few as it was so far. So I mentioned a little bit about the efficient use of resources such as computing and spectrum. And yes, efficient use of resources, this is also a pivotal element to linking technical performance with the user quality. So by smart allocation of resources, if we get into the details, the channels and their elements, like the physical resource blocks, we can achieve various goals of the 5G system. And of course, we recognize the famous 5G triangle with different quality of service targets. They can be met by manipulation of the resources themselves. So this is also a sort of a direction that we are taking in addressing very restrictive use cases, basically with the very same infrastructure. And let me give you a couple of examples of our deployments. So as a rising vendor, we are already commercially operating, and also to kind of spur the imagination to see what can be done here. So on the left-hand side, we see a large macro site built for the largest Polish oil and petroleum company, Orlen. That was just providing the 5G standalone connectivity. We provided their complete RAN and core. The middle picture shows the indoor Industry 4.0 robot steering small private network deployment in Kraków. That's in Poland. And right-hand picture shows the hall where we are building right now a very similar network, but with a very stringent requirements for the reliability of the connections in Berlin for the consortium consisting of T-Systems, Osram, and Fraunhofer. Then a very important, already mentioned niche are mission-critical applications or PPDR applications. They are especially important in Poland because you know that with the situation at the border that we have, these topics are of prime importance. And we have built a complete network-in-the-box system where in such a small box like this one on the left-hand side, we squeezed the entire RAN, radio access network, core, and also mission-critical applications like push-to-talk, call-to-many, and so on. And deployment of such network, this is the mid picture, you don't see the complete scenario, but it is a small portable base station. It took us 5 minutes to deploy it into the field for the exercises with the PPDR representatives and also our territorial forces. It was, as I believe, it was done in the 800 megahertz band, a special band that we have available there. And we used LTE because there are much more ruggedized phones available with LTE. And the right-hand side shows how this solution can be used in a vehicle, what we were demonstrating at the International Defense Industry Exhibition. Another example deployment is education, a very important one, because we need to train new engineers, scientists, to grow and build these concepts here so that they can be exported from here. And this is also the sort of a target and a goal that we have locally in Poland. We want more of an export forces rather than buying all the time from abroad. And as such, we work with the local universities like Białystok Technical University, or we work with various labs like the Sonic Labs, a very important undertaking initiated by the British government. There are more examples, but I don't have the pictures of all of them. And last but not least, very important use cases are ports, already mentioned, of course. So IS Wireless is part of the large 6 years Dutch project called 6G FNS, Future Network Systems, where partners include Port of Rotterdam and also Schiphol Airport. The mid picture shows Riga Freeport, and I'm just a week after a meeting at Riga where we signed an agreement with Riga Technical University to deploy 5G private network there for the purpose of training students how to install this network, and also how we can program this network with the use of XApps, but also getting into more details of the network structures. And the concept is we are working on it right now to extend it to Riga port, to have a very ambitious use case there. And last but not least, Malta Seaport is where we will be deploying private 5G as part of Assist IoT project. So these use cases are really happening right now. They are accessible also from the position of a small player. We are just 50 people company. And with the proper attitude, this knowledge can be shared, because truly the times have come where the wonders of technology can be, let's say, consumed by many, but not a few. So these are the partners and customers with whom we work. They cover various players on the telco ecosystem, including hardware, software, but also science. So finally, let me finish with this statement from one of the hockey players. So a good hockey player plays where the puck is, while a great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. I call for focusing not for the needs of today, but for the needs of tomorrow, and leapfrogging current network architectures. Do not repeating the mistakes that others have made, and in such an attitude and with such a way, we truly can be leaders. And I think that this ambition is very much close to my heart, as indicated at the beginning by Marius and by other organizers. So I thank you very much, and I'm there for your questions and whatever is needed. Thank you very much.